With summer comes in a lot of goodness of ingredients. Well, one of those is of course your raw mango or keri. Well, with every summer, I kind of stock up my kitchen with multiple things. I make a lot of slushes, I make a lot of jams, I make a lot of pickles. Well, this one is one of those very special pickles called Methia Keri. Hey guys, it's the Bombay Chef Varun Inamdar and welcome to Rajshri Food, which is your ultimate destination for 100% vegetarian recipes. Let's begin with Methia Keri. Well, pickles of course have a very standard recipe in every home, but there are those little bit of changes that everyone does to personalize it. Well, this one is from my family. The first and foremost ingredient, which is extremely important, is a keri or a raw mango. Whenever you're making a pickle is generally never made instant. It takes at least 2 to 3 days to make it. Well, this is a process that you need to start at least 3 days before. I'll tell you why and how. The first thing is to wait for the good quality of keri or raw mango in the market. You can of course use totapuri, but the mango that's really used in a pickle or a murabba is a rajapuri. So if you can lay your hands on that, please do that. Wait for summers. Snip off the cap. Cut the cheeks of a mango, which are actually the two sides of a mango. What's also important here is to cut the remainder of the mango. Why I'm saying the remainder of the mango is because these are mangoes with a heavy stone or a heavy seed, which is literally like a stone, and that's the reason why it's called a mango stone. Well, this one, especially the keri that you use for any pickle, generally has a soft covering of the stone, which could also be cut like this. So you can actually cut it through and through, only and only with a sharp knife, and you get a softer stone right in the center like this. Well, this is also a part that could be used in a pickle. So do not throw this. We are also kind of using this. But what's important is to remove the center core, which is the stone of the mango. Remove this. There's also a little bit of a skin that needs to be removed. Well, this soft stone is also a little astringent. It's a little bitter. It's borderline sweet, but it's a wonderful ingredient. Well, this is also one of those underutilized ingredients in Indian homes. But yeah, in our homes, we make a nice mouth freshener out of this. But let's leave that for another day. Let's come back and concentrate on the pickle. Let's cut this into squares like so. You can cut these into dices. And let's transfer these larger chunks into a deep bowl. Similarly, let's start cutting this. All of this in a larger bowl, and this is a very simple step, but of course, like I said, it takes a little time if you're doing it traditionally. I'm of course going to show you a trick to that as well. To this, let's add in turmeric powder, all of it. And to this, let's add in salt, which is a regular table salt. The next step here is to toss all of this together. Of course, you can do this with your hands. And the step after this is to keep this just like that, at least for one afternoon, covered in sunlight. Well, because we are doing it in a little quicker way, I'm showing you a home trick, and that is to put this in a microwave for 3 minutes. With this, the time's up. And a lot of water or a lot of moisture has released here, and this is actually salted water with turmeric. Well, let's transfer all of this in another container with a strainer, of course, because the next step here is to strain all that liquid off, because we are not looking at that. We're not looking at washing or cleaning anything at this point in time, but the next step is to transfer all of this on a cloth and give it at least 2 hours of sunlight furthermore, or the next step is to keep this under a fan which is on full swing. Let's spread this nice and even, and on top of this, the mangoes which have just come out of the microwave. Well, again, is the same thing that would even happen after one sun in an afternoon. When I say 1 sun, 2 sun, this is actually a barometer or a technique in which you say keep it for 2 suns, keep it for 3 suns, or keep it for 3 or 4 suns, depending on how many sunlights you show a product. Now this is a product of 1 sunlight. Let's keep this aside. The fan on full swing for 2 hours at least, so that the outside surface kind of dries out completely. It's been 2 hours and the keri or the raw mango has dried on its surface. Let's transfer all of this into a clean container. And this, of course, needs to get washed. Let's keep this aside and let's move on to making the masala mix. For that, of course, 2 things very important. The first one is methi kuriya. Now, methi kuriya are basically flakes of methi or fenugreek, which is the primary ingredient of this recipe. In case by any chance you cannot lay your hands on something like this, what you can do is take methi seeds, toast them lightly and crush them, rather blitz them, so that they just kind of crush into pieces, and that could also be used. But give this first preference, first look for this, find this out. If you don't, only then go for that option. The next step is to create a little bit of a center and drop in Asafoetida or hing. Now these are whole dried chilies, which I'm just snipping into 2 and keeping them right in the center. The next step is to heat a pan and into this add in mustard oil. Scrape all of this because oil is something which is extremely important for this recipe, because with the quantity of oil and salt, this is something that's going to stay for a while, at least a year, in your kitchens. Allow this to come almost till smoking point and then we'll move forward. Once the mustard oil reaches smoke point, as you see now, the smoke is right here. You drop this right in the center. Well, this way what happens is you're completely controlling your tempering. Nothing burns at any point in time. Let's mix all of this. And to this, like how we have methi kuriya, we also have mustard kuriya or rai kuriya. Let's add that. Along with this, salt. Well, this is salt which is roasted and kept. Let's add this. Please follow the recipe which is in the description box below. Do not add anything as per your whims and fancies, because this is something which is going to stay with you for a while. Let's add in the red chili powder. Now here you could take something which has good color, good spice, again depending on how you or your family likes it. Let's mix all of this well. With this, your pickle spice or pickling spice is done and ready. And this is the base or the premise of Methia Keri. Let's move on to 2 more steps. But first things first, and that is moving all of this into the mango which is prepared. And this one is the raw mango or the keri. Let's toss all of this together. You just have to ensure that all of this is mixed very well together. And if you see, it's kind of dry as of now because we have some more oil going in, and that would be the last and final step. Once all of this is mixed well, the next step is to bottle this or transfer this into a jar. The pickle jar, of course, needs to be nice and clean. Let's open the lid and let's transfer all of this into the jar. Remember to fill the jar, however big or small, only till it's 3/4 full, because we're also going to add in some oil next. Well, I think that should be enough. This can, of course, go in another jar. Let's add in some spices also. And let's move on to the next step, and that is heating the oil. For this, I'm of course adding in vegetable oil. And with this, I'm also adding in castor oil, which is for its keeping quality. Allow this to heat till it's smoking again. Once the oil comes to smoking point, off goes the flame, and we need to transfer this, of course, into the pickle. You need to fill the jar right till its top. Once all the oil goes in, the next step is to tie this with a muslin cloth and a twine and keep this in the sun for at least 2 to 3 days. And after that, your Methia Keri is ready to be served. What you need to do is every day, you need to swirl it like that so that the oil keeps rising at the top, which is extremely important. Otherwise, what will happen is the keri on top or the raw mango on top starts getting these little fronds of fungus and you're not looking at that. With this, your Methia Keri is done and ready, and trust me, this goes amazingly well with theplas, parathas, chapatis, fulkas, or even dal rice. Trust me, make the best use of this summer, this sunlight. Make something like this and ensure that your family likes this. On that note, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to Rajshri Food, and for more such recipes, stay tuned.